check out my new Tim Holt mat. I love this thing. I have been in the market and have been looking for a mat and haven't really come off with something that I like. So this mat I have in the background here, it's a beautiful mat. It's great and it's very affordable. However, my only qualm with it is that when I try to blend ink or anything, it would stick to the surface and it's so hard to clean up. Now with this glass mat, it's so much easier to clean. But my dilemma was whether I wanted black or I wanted white. The black mat is really nice because anytime I work on a project, it pops up better in the camera for you guys to see. However, I needed a white surface so when I do the blending, I could see my color blending. So this gives me the best of both worlds. Yay! And I love the grid lines. Oh, this is like my fave. I love this. I used to be a member of the Hero Arts Kit, but I since canceled the membership. And the reason why I canceled, although I find their kit gives you bang for your buck. Like I think if you were starting out, I think you'll be fine. It gives you the ability to accumulate stamps and dies. The only issue I'm finding with that set was it gave you little pieces, like little bits of stuff, and it allows you to create projects, but then you have to know where to put those projects. I like to have big pieces, and then I take those pieces and then varying on my background, varying on how I place certain designs, I put those big pieces on top of it to make it a statement. And that's how I like to make my cards. So I find the Hero Art, while it was great and everything, it really didn't fit into how I like to create my cards. So I found this to be a much better option every month. It's a little bit cheaper than the Hero Arts kit as well. And I can see why it's cheaper because, I mean, you don't get the extra dies, you don't get the extra papers, you don't get the stamps and all the other stuff the Hero Arts kit give you. But this gives me big dies. So what that means is I'm able to cut big dies, again, work with my background and just plop this on top. So this month's kit is the strawberry. I mean, look how darling that is. I pretty much found this via Instagram. So I was going through my Instagram feed, and next thing you know, this thing popped up, and I'm like, that is such a cute die. I would love to have that set. And then, long and behold, it's from this collection here. So yeah, kind of cool. I'm assuming this thanks doesn't come with it because I don't see it. Maybe that's part of the small. So with Spellbinder, oh, just an FYI, Spellbinders clubs, they have different types of packages. So this is the large die of the month package. They have a small die of the month package as well, where they give you a die, but it's notably smaller. I'm assuming that's what this sentiment is. But I have plenty of sentiments that I bought previously, so whatever. I'll use my own sentiment. But yeah, they have a lot of different kits that you can try out. So I would definitely check it out if you're a beginner. I just hoard a lot. But I love card making. I think it's very therapeutic. It almost, I wouldn't call it mind numbing, but it just eases your mind, and it allows you to just kind of forget about everything else and just let the creative juice flow. Anyways, let's just start this out. So let's see what we get. What you get is a varying list of different dies. As you can see here, you get the strawberries and also you get the cutout for the strawberries. I was a little bit confused with one of the dies you can see there. It's not technically the strawberry, it's actually the flower of the strawberry. So I kind of shoved it to the side as a way to organize and kind of remind myself of what each die is for and what it goes with. And I also like the fact that in the back of these dies, there's actually pictures to show you the coloring of it and how to put it together, because I was a bit confused with the half leaves part. And so to begin this project, I got me some red cardstocks and white cardstocks, cut it to size so I don't end up wasting a bunch of papers, and started putting my die on these cardstocks to go ahead and get them cut out in the machine. Once it's cut out, and as you can see there, this was a brand new plate, and look, already destroyed. It's already marred. Look at that. I was so sad. You know how when you're obsessive kind of person with like neatness and things like that, it drives you nuts. So like, oh, why is it marred? But it is what it is. Anyway, so here I am hitting the red cardstock with varying shades of red, just to kind of give that strawberry a little bit more of the dimension. Because I noticed with dyes, if you don't, start shading color into them and doing different things, they just look very flat. So here I am using the background dye and cutting the white part out, and then putting in the back of the red cardstock, and there you go. You have white seeds. Yay! I probably should have done that with black, but I thought the white looked really nice too. So quick coloring tip. I always try to envision what I'm trying to achieve. So in this case, I want a ripe, plumpy, juicy strawberry. So I notice for the most part, strawberries are more red at the top part, and then it like ripes downward. So that's why I'm focusing more of my dark red at the top of the strawberry. So once I finish blending in my new fancy mat, I use a wet wipe and cleaned it. And I noticed there was a red spot there, and it was driving me nuts. But it cleaned away with alcohol ink later. But yeah, I panicked a little bit. See? Nice and clean. Anywho, I'm going in now and attaching my white background to the red strawberries. There we go. And I love this glue because it doesn't give that like wrinkly, it doesn't cause the wrinkly look that usually liquid glue gives. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut the stem out, and this is what it looks like. Oh, details for days, guys. Oh, look at that. So beautiful. And the stem is super thin. I could never get that with my Cricut. Anyways, I went in and go ahead and cut more of the other leaves dyes with the lighter green. So I have three shades of green, one dark, one light, and one in the middle, as you can see there. Once they're cut, you kind of lay them out. So I did the exact same thing that I did with the strawberry. I took them and I love the details, by the way. That's why I kept zooming in on the details, just to show you guys like how nice these dyes are. But anyways, once you're done with them, I pretty much go in and do the exact same thing I did with the strawberries, where I would call it gradient coloring. So I would hit it with kind of like the darker green and then the lighter green. And I know like the dark is more towards the center of the leaves, and then the lighter piece would be the outside. So I try to focus my attention in that way, so it looks like more of a fading effect. That's what you really try to go for anyway. So when it comes to coloring, I'm definitely a novice, so take my advice with a grain of salt. Anyways, once I finished grading out the color, you see those little half leaves? Well, they correspond to each one of those dark green leaves there. So then once I finished coloring them, I just take it and started gluing them to the leaf that they match to. It was more of like a puzzle. It's cute. It's fun. Anyway, so when you're done, I wanted to give it a little pop, so I went in with my, of course, baller and started pushing on the leaves to kind of give it a like poppy effect. I did the exact same thing to the strawberries, so it looks like they're more curved and rounded instead of just flat, right? So for the most part, this is pretty much how they're arranged in a lot of the other card examples that I saw. But I wanted to customize it more, since I don't really like that big of a card. I wanted a more cute, dainty card. So I went ahead and used some of my borders dies, and then I cut out this fancy looking border. And I also used my square dies or rectangular dies to cut out that green rectangular piece there. See, this is the one part I hate the most is lining things up because I have a terrible time lining things up. So I'm always happy when they actually work out for me. So as you can see here, I put the stem on, and of course it's not going to fit because it's a really big stem. So I snipped the bottom half off and just glued the upper half piece down. This part can be a little tedious because the stem itself is very, very small. So then you kind of just have to dot your way through it. If not, you could just use a brush, put some glue on it and just brush it on there and then glue it down. It wouldn't affect anything. So because my leaves, I wanted to pop out kind of why I did the rolling technique earlier to kind of like puff it up. I decided to go ahead and glue that down with some or tape it down with some foam tape, so it gives it that lifting effect rather than just flat. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with a flat card. I just always like that popping effect. It gives it, to me, the person who receives it, it'll give them more of a wowing factor. Well, that and sparkles. I love sparkles. So give me a card that has dimension with some sparkles, and we are good to go. As you can see, I have a very specific taste of how I like to create my cards. So don't quote me on it. You can just, refer to my video as inspiration, but you can do whatever you want. I don't know about you guys, but man, these strawberries are turning out really, really nice. I'm so glad I went in with the gradient effect because they look so ripe and ready to be harvested. And of course, this is my favorite part of making the card is when I have to assemble stuff. This is when my creative juice starts flowing and I kind of like forget about everything else that's going on. I just sit there and focus on my card and figure out where can I put everything in the card so that it makes sense. Where can I place the strawberries? Where can I place the leaves? Where can I place the sentiment? Would it look good in this frame? All these little things that comes through my mind, and you would think that it would be more stressful, but it really isn't. It's a lot less stressful. I don't know how it makes sense, but it does. So as you can see here, since the leaves are already done, I'm just using that extra piece of stem just to gives it more interest rather than just 3 strawberry on one little thin stem. I add an extra one so it looks like there's multiple I guess stem of the strawberries. So cute. And being able to cut the leaves apart from the original mold, now you have customized your card so that it doesn't even look like the original dies anymore. It's more custom as to how you want it to be. One of the things that I did in the very beginning was I was always afraid to cut up dies and start rearranging things because, I was very by the book. So originally, I would watch like hundreds of like these YouTube videos of how to create cards and I would try to follow it to the T. But you know what? At the end of the day, this is a creative process. I mean, it's great to watch other videos as inspiration, but if you're gonna want to make this something of your own, cut it up. Maybe paste the 2 leaves together. Maybe take the strawberries and cut it in half. Heck, maybe cut like a little hole into it to make it look like someone bit into it. I don't know, depending on what you're trying to achieve. Just do whatever you want. This is your project. Do what you want to do with it. So after figuring out where I wanted the big leaves, now I have to focus on the little leaves because the strawberry looks a little naked without the little leaves. And since most of my project have dimension on it, I have to bring out the baller and give these little leaves some dimension as well. It's not going to be a lot, but it's a little bit so that it doesn't look flat against the rest of the projects. Back at it with my glue. At first I went in and my intention was to give each one of the strawberries 3 leaves, but realizing that I couldn't count. That I did not have enough for 3 leaves in each strawberry. I abandoned ship and just gave each strawberry 2 leaf. And if looking at it now, I think that was a great decision because 3 leaf in each strawberries would have looked too much. So that's what I did here. And that's the nice thing about using liquid glue too. You're able to just move things around until you're satisfied with their placement. And there. Check it out. Oh, look at that. Dimension for days. course, what is a juicy strawberry without the shimmer, right? So I brought out my Wink of Stella dupe, and then I just brushed it only on the strawberry area. And I'm glad I did this because not only did it pop that kind of like gradient effect from the coloring I did earlier, it also adds like a slight shine to it. So wherever the light hits, as you can see here, it gives it that shimmer of like a super juicy strawberry that's ready to be picked and eaten, right? So nice. So of course, after my front is done, I pretty much now can work on the sentiment. That sentiment looked way too long. So I needed a shorter sentiment. So at first I was going to put the sentiment there, and then I was going to do the hello sentiment up top. And I love this sentiment kit. Not only does it come with the sentiment die itself, it also comes with the sentiment background. So of course, when I cut out my sentiment, I always like to stack them so they have, again, more of a dimensional look, because everything else on this card is very dimensional, so you don't want to make it look flat. And there it is, but after I put it on, I felt like it missed something. It looks very flat to me, so I go ahead and I got some vellum, and so I cut out the background and put the hello sentiment on top of the background cutout of the with the vellum. And there it is. I use a brush to kind of like press it down rather than my finger. And so I wanted to pop, so I used foam tape. And I realized when I flipped it over, I can see the foam right through the vellum. And that's not cute. So I abandoned ship, and I used the same foam, but I cut it into tiny little thin strip. And this part is a little tedious, but you want to hide it behind the lettering itself so that when you put it on, ta-da, you cannot see through the vellum. So it looks like it's popping up, but like an invisible effect, you know? All right, and again, this is part of creativity, you know, you change your mind all the time. So I changed my mind where I wanted the hello. I want the hello at the bottom, and I was going to put the sentiment more towards the top area. So cute. And then now that my front of my card is done, I took out my background piece of the card, and I used my double-sided tape to just tape it down. I like this method a lot better because I feel like when I use the dispenser gun, it wasted a lot of my tape. And then of course my trusty cutter took it out and kind of trimmed the card down so you don't see the whites anymore. I always like to do this after the card is done because that's how I know I'm gonna get like that perfect sharp edge cut. And of course, you know, if the outside is beautiful, the inside has to look nice too. So then again, I cut varying shapes of the rectangle, and I put it on the inside of the card so that you can write your message in the card. And I always love a card with a customized message, like a handwritten note. I just feel like it brings so much more meaning to the card, especially if you're going to give it to that person as a thank you note or something. And of course, I told you, right, I truly suck at aligning stuff, so this is the reason why I struggle really bad. I did place an order for a T-shaped ruler to hopefully help me align stuff better. So wish me luck. Once I get it, I'll do a review to see if that was helpful, because I know there are people that, like me out there, that struggles with alignment as well. Because I see a lot of these crafty YouTubers, when they do it, I mean, literally they drop it down and it's perfectly aligned and straight. I don't know how they do it, because my eyes, I can't see it. Like literally I struggle so much. That's why I don't use a double-sided tape here. I just use glue because at least I can move it around, finagle. And there you have it, guys. That is my strawberry card with my Tim Holt mat and all the other corresponding dies that I use for this project as well. So there you have it. Comment down below and let me know what you think of the card. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for future content. And as always, thank you for watching. Have a good one.